I'm Brian Christner, and this is The Byte, a bite-sized podcast about containers, cloud, and tech. Welcome back to The Byte. This episode, we are going to talk about Kelsey Hightower. He is a developer advocate at Google for Kubernetes, and basically, he's also a member of the Cloud Native Foundation. If you're not following him, I highly recommend it because he gives the honest truth about platforms from other cloud providers such as Amazon and Microsoft. He tests, Microsoft's AKS, so their Kubernetes offering, Amazon's EKS offering. So he compares them all, gives an honest opinion. He's also evaluated K3s from Rancher, which we talked about in previous episodes. So he really is like a great resource to listen to. And in this episode, we're going to talk about one of the quotes or one of the tweets he sent out back in March 11th. And he basically tweeted, "The thing you're trying to build should be more exciting than the tools used to build it." Now think about that for a second, because I find this many times when I'm going to customers that there's so much focus on the underlying components and all the buzzwords. So Kubernetes and service mesh and all these different things. And by the time you actually get to the customer's application, what you're trying to deploy, you're already losing half the battle there. You're discussing how to, build a Ferrari, but no one talks about, the steering wheel, who's actually going to drive the thing. And that's what I want to put our emphasis back on. Yes, the tools are important to maintain our applications and provide us, but do we honestly need this level of complexity? Kubernetes is trying to solve every problem, and that's, kind of the issue OpenStack had, is they're trying to, create every possible feature for every telco and vendor out there, and it just got too overwhelming. Kelsey Hightower really recommends on the other side to look at, maybe serverless. Developers don't care so much about Kubernetes and what's going on. Maybe they really like a serverless aspect where they just push their code and let someone else worry about it. Or something in between Kubernetes and serverless where it's, not so complex. I don't have to learn infrastructure to push my application, and vice versa. There's a lot of discussion around it. When I'm going to customers, it's mainly the discussion is around the tooling, but less about their actual application. Let's try to focus back on the application. What are we trying to build? Where is the value coming from? As a customer, are we making money from Kubernetes? 90% of the market, probably not, unless you're like Amazon or Microsoft or Google. Our value is what we're putting on top. So does it matter from our end customers what's running underneath? Probably not. And that's something we need to question. And that's where we want to go, is we need to start asking why more and start questioning, the tooling and the complexity that's sometimes we're putting on ourselves. And also the delays. When we start new projects, sometimes when you go through all these nice iterations of tooling, we go, oh, man, we'd love to deploy our application, but we can't until we get Kubernetes and Istio and all these different tools installed, and only then can I put in my application. So coming back around, let's think about how we can make our life easier and less complex. Let's put the focus back on the application and, worry less about what's running underneath. Let's put the value back in our application and bring value to the end customers. If you look at a lot of these solo entrepreneurs, they can't afford to go into this level of depth in their applications. Peter Levels, for example, he builds applications. He has several very famous startups, and it's all running on a single server running PHP. So just to show you, you don't need this level of complexity to have something successful. Let's continue with this story. I'm interested for your feedback. So please give us feedback and let me know what you think about adding more value into the application versus the infrastructure. All right. Thank you very much. Have a great one, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Byte. You can find the show notes at thebyte.io and follow me on Twitter at IDoMyOwnTricks.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.